All right, moving on. Justin, how do you think this listener's name is pronounced?
Haitham Ismail.
Yes. And he wants to know, how important are exclusives? Says, if you were to look at the last couple of generations of consoles, it doesn't look like exclusives matter much when it comes to sales of the consoles themselves. I would argue that the Xbox One has a stronger lineup of exclusives and is still lagging behind in sales compared to the PS4. And it's my personal belief that the PS3 catalog was a lot stronger than the 360's, but for most of that generation, the 360 was in the lead. I think the Wii U is a nice case study. Because the third-party support is so weak, the console has to sell on the strength of its exclusives, and while the exclusives are incredibly strong in quality, console sales are abysmal. So, how important are exclusives?
They're great for comment sections, because you can compare your systems that way. And they're great because they have a lot of money goes behind them, and they're awesome games.
They tend to be
They're great, high quality games, but they do not sell consoles, and you shouldn't care if they sell consoles or not. Doesn't really matter.
Oh, I don't know that I agree with that. I think software sells hardware.
Not,
I mean,
well, okay. The point he's making is that the third parties, or the conversation we've had about Nintendo for like 2 decades now. If Nintendo doesn't get the third parties, they're not going to sell consoles. It was true for GameCube. That's exactly happened. And then Wii, they got all the third parties. They had shovelware like crazy, and then the #1 console. And Wii U, they have no third party support.
Like having the best,
great exclusives.
Great exclusives.
Yeah. Well, the issue is that it's not a level playing field there. Like having the best first-party support and no third-party support, it doesn't cancel that out or balance that out. Like on a more level comparison, like the PS4 versus Xbox One, then the exclusives are hugely important, I think.
Well, I think as standard, we have this kind of legacy thing. Nintendo is the glorious exception because they still manufacture very distinctive hardware that's different than anything else, both through the controller and the actual inner workings of the Wii U. Everything else is a PC now, and that's a fairly new development. I mean, really, the PS4, the Xbox One, and a PC are all built on around the same hardware, and that's a very new thing. We still got the psychological legacy from a time where, you know, only a PC had the certain capabilities you needed to play a game like Civ 2.
Well,
only a
and
PlayStation
then some had blast
structure.
processing.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about, some of it was vaporware, or not vaporware, things that didn't exist, like blast processing. Some of it was you couldn't
I still
do
believe.
that.
Just marketing slogans.
Yeah, sorry, I got lost on marketing slogans there. Some of it was actually physically incapable. There's some things you just couldn't do on certain boxes.
Yeah.
That's just not a problem anymore. And because of that, it's purely marketing.
I
still think I think exclusives are, any opportunity I get to advocate for a one console future, I will. I think exclusives are bad for the consumer. I think it's really shitty that if you want to play Uncharted and Halo, you got to buy two, $300, $400, $500 boxes instead of just being able to buy your video game box and play all the best games. Sure. I don't think that there's really much of an excuse other than, the excuse where the hardware and software are very closely married together, like Nintendo's software, where that it's justified to be able to have to do that.
But back to the question of how important exclusives are. With similar systems like PS4 and Xbox One, you think they're hugely important?
Did I say hugely important?
Yes.
I want to walk that back a little bit. No, I mean, I just don't know, what else are you basing that decision on?
Well, I mean, maybe this generation is a unique case because the Xbox One stumbled so spectacularly at its reveal.
Also, it's hard for me to, I don't know that many people, you're all my friends and all of you own multiple consoles, I own every console. So, the person that picks a console and sticks with it, I don't know that consumer. I don't know that I completely understand their habits, or are they don't care about Halo, it's not important to them. I don't know that gamer, and I don't know what's driving their decisions, I guess.
I think a lot of it may be just frugality. Just not wanting
Sure, but I don't know how they're making that choice and weighing it out.
I made that choice to only own a GameCube, so I still have a little bit of trauma from that. Well, it was, you obsessed at the time. You read IGN and you obsessed over what third parties games were coming to the GameCube in the span between the wonderful games that were coming every 6 months. So you'd get, between Wind Waker and Mario Sunshine, which weren't that far apart, you would say Beautiful Joe, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, you put tremendous weight on those games coming out for those systems. And that's what was my mentality. Of course, I would say, 6 years into it, I'd say, we had Metroid and Wind Waker and Metroid Prime 2. It's but that didn't matter in the moment. It was geez, what's coming out this month that I can actually play for this system?
How good did you feel when Resident Evil 4 came out?
Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. And the month that it came out, it was it's coming to PS2 with all this extra stuff.
No! No, I mean,
it was incredible though. What a cutting edge game to come out for an exclusive Nintendo system.
It does. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
I was just gonna say, like, I think you brought up frugality, and I think that's super true, right? Like, people don't have unlimited money; they have to pick a console and stick with it. When I was growing up, my tactic was to pick a console and then, 4 or 5 years later, grab the one I missed on the cheap. Like, I didn't get a SNES until '95, I think. The year the PS1 came out. And then I got, F-Zero and Mario World and Zelda and, sort of played a little bit of catch-up there.
It actually is really nice to get a console late in its lifetime,
right?
because you just have this incredible library of games that
all these games that you've been coveting, but you don't want to admit that you've secretly wanted to play.
I still do it. I mean, I held out on a Wii U forever. I bought mine to play Mario Maker. And I'm getting really excited about getting to jump in and do that. I work at a company where we play video games for a living, so if I'm not necessarily keen on, you have a new generation hardware coming out, not a lot to play on, I just steal one from work and play for a while, and then I take it back.
Critically, the games that we've rated the highest over the past years since the consoles came out are not exclusives on those systems. Now, Nintendo still has high-rated exclusives, but The Witcher, Dragon Age, these are games that are cross consoles, and those are the reasons I want people to buy consoles.
There's still some really high-rated
and PCs.
There's, The Last of Us, we gave a 10.
Sure.
Yeah, but not this console generation.
This console.
Yeah, so far I can't. I mean, Bloodborne was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, Bloodborne's really cool.
There's been a few.
But if you think about Halo Master Chief Collection stuff compared to the other games that were at Xbox at the time, Tomb Raider is fantastic. It's there are a lot of games that are on multiple consoles now. But hey, Uncharted 4 might be
also
great.
blast processing.
Blast processing.
Blast processing.